They say everything in moderation. Well, someone forgot to tell the 2022 Washington Patriots. And for their oft-famished fan base, this season proved a bottomless buffet, each helping more tantalizing than the last. The Patriots entered this season eager to show a historic campaign the year prior was no fluke, that it was merely an appetizer. And as the post-merger era entered its second year, the Pats were out to serve their fans a second helping of the delectable brand of baseball that just 12 months ago had all of Fedball salivating for more. But reviews of 2022's first course left plenty to be desired, and left management wondering if the Pats had the right ingredients to fulfill their lofty 3-star standards. It turned out it wasn't as much the individual elements, but perhaps the recipe that needed some fine-tuning. Sure enough, the season warmed to a mid-summer simmer, a 10-game win streak whetting the appetites of a fan base starved for a deep playoff run. Comebacks, walk-offs, nail-biters, even for the most culinarily capricious, the Pats served up a diverse menu of instant classics as the postseason pressure cooker loomed. And just when the drama seemed to reach its boiling point, the Patriots continued to feast, thanks to some clutch hitting and high heat of their own. The defending champion Ducks were on the World Series menu, and though the Pats themselves were peaking, their crosstown rivals proved too tough to cook. But despite the bitter taste left from 2022's captivating yet unfulfilling run, the Patriots know they've found a recipe for long-term success. And so the offseason brings a chance to cleanse the palate. And with key returning veterans and a host of up-and-coming stars, the cupboard is anything but bare. Just as they entered this season, 2022 ends with the Pats still driven by the mouth-watering proposition of their elusive first championship. So if you think they've had their fill, think again. After a brief taste of playoff success, now more than ever, they're hungry for more.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the second annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Well, 2022 ended without that ticker tape parade down Pennsylvania Avenue, but it was nonetheless another historic season for your Washington Patriots, with countless exploits worthy of celebration on and off the diamond. So sit back, relax, and allow us to regale you as we relive together the magical ride that was the 22nd season of Patriots baseball. We know we'll have plenty of laughs, we're bound to shed a few tears, and rest assured there will be no shortage of drama on this, the biggest night of the Fedball offseason. It's the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the second annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Here we go. Well, folks, I trust that has sufficiently whetted your appetites. Please join me in welcoming to the show longtime Patriots favorite, Billy Schultz. Billy, welcome to the show, my friend.
Absolute pleasure to be here.
Well, let's get into things. How have you been keeping busy during the off season?
Well, been watching little Calvin growing up fast. A lot of debate as to whether or not he's picking up stuff with his left or his right hand. So we'll leave that as to be determined for the time being. But just trying to get myself back into shape. Obviously a tough off season with how our season ended. But that being said, remaining optimistic, getting back into the gym, and ready for another fun-filled year of Patriots baseball.
Love that. A couple things to unpack there. Let's start with Calvin. Still no real definitive prospect, lefty or righty. Is that right?
The science on this suggests that you don't really know whether or not someone's going to be lefty or righty until at least 18 months or older, but I've been seeing a lot of left-hand pickups and a lot of left-hand swipes at my face. So there's a part of me that's thinking this kid's a lefty.
Do you think is that some mirroring and mimicking that's going on, or do you think that's come naturally?
Difficult to say because my wife Alex is a righty, so it's really, really hard to say right now. He might be lefty in front of me and righty in front of her. Maybe he just wants to keep this open-ended and he doesn't like the pressure, So, and maybe he's ambidextrous. There's all kinds of outcomes here.
Well, that's certainly an exciting development to watch in the months and years ahead. You also mentioned sticking to a good off-season workout and gym regiment. How's that going for you? Any goals or specific areas you were looking to work on?
Yeah, I think obviously based on my lack of any sort of extra base hitting output over the last 10 or so seasons, we're definitely looking into some core strength, some upper body strength. But honestly, Chad, as you start getting a little bit older, we're just trying to really focus on the stretching because the bumps and the bruises, they just stick with you a lot longer in the off season. So definitely doing some plyometrics, some stretching, maybe throwing some yoga in there. But I think that the big first step here is just to actually get a gym membership.
Yeah, that's critical. Highly recommend also for more of a DIY at-home scenario. Big fan of bands. I've really discovered bands over the last couple months. You got the big ones, you got the smaller ones. From a stretching standpoint, they work wonders. So certainly appreciate the struggle there and trying to maximize things for the season ahead. One last look backwards. What a season it was, 2022, culminating in the Patriots' first FedBall World Series appearance. What's your lasting memory or maybe favorite memory of 2022? I mean, certainly you're still getting it done at the plate, hitting right at 300 again. But personally or team-wise, what did you really take away from 2022?
I think probably my favorite memory was when we started getting that winning streak off and running. And there was just this feeling that any given Sunday, we were not only capable of winning, but we were going to win. It's that feeling that I used to get watching some of the famous franchise teams of all time, some of those Patriots teams where it didn't matter when you turned on the game. If they were down in the fourth quarter, you just never felt safe. You just always knew that they were going to find a way. There were some Yankees teams that were like that. Some Lakers teams that were like that. I just felt like we kind of fell into that bucket for a period of time where during that winning streak, we weren't overconfident, but it just felt like everything was really gelling. And not going to lie, baseball is a lot more fun when you're winning. But it was definitely that feeling of going into every Sunday knowing that we were the best team in the league.
Well, I love every part of that answer, probably aside from the association with, who was it? The Lakers, Yankees, and New England Patriots. I don't know if you could have picked a more evil triumvirate, and yet somehow I think it's an apt comparison. So
definitely not my favorite teams. I could have also thrown in a couple of those Duke basketball teams into the mix as well.
You're only getting worse now. You're only getting worse. Billy, you up for answering a few questions from our listeners?
Always love hearing from the fans.
Outstanding. Well, I don't really know if I agree with the sentiment, at least in the moment, of this particular question, because you've been a delight so far here on the show. But Andrew from Southeast wants to know, why are you always so mad?
Look, the facts are that this is the second year in a row that I've been nominated for Hothead of the Year, so I understand where the question's coming from. I guess what I'd say to Andrew in Southeast is just don't mistake anger for passion. There's a strong drive, I think, that we share collectively amongst our team, that we're passionate, we want to win. But I think maybe Andrew's just misreading some of the outbursts. I've mentioned in previous podcasts that we don't want to be the type of team that's yelling at the umpires or yelling at the other team, but occasionally there's just a need to reset the mood. I appreciate Andrew paying attention to our games and seeing the passion, but I think he might just be misreading me a little bit.
Classic trope of the misunderstood athlete. We've got time for one more. This one comes from Seth in PG County. Ooh, this is a good one. We were talking about Calvin, and Seth wants to know, after whom did you name your son Calvin? This is a two-parter. After whom did you name your son Calvin? And he's very polite, and he says, and please rank the following Calvins. And he goes on to list Cal Ripken, Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes. Did he ever have a last name? I'm not sure. Calvin Klein, and Calvin Harris. Cal Ripken, Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, Calvin Klein, and Calvin Harris. But first, your beautiful baby son, Calvin. Who's he named after? Can you tell us the story there?
Ken. So the backstory there is that Calvin is named after Alex's grandfather, Calvin, who is a legend in his own right. And so it was important for us to capture that family name from Alex's side of the family. And then as a kind of a lead-in possibly to the second part of the question is, given how much I love baseball and the fact that I grew up in the DC area as a Baltimore Orioles fan, there was, I'm not going to lie to you, there was an aspect of thinking about maybe Calvin becoming a Cal one day, and walking in the footsteps of Baltimore legend Cal Ripken Jr.
Of course.
But in terms of that stack ranking, Calvin and Hobbes was a big part of my childhood too. But if I had to rank them in order, I would go Cal Ripken Jr. 1, Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes 2, Calvin Klein I would give a 3, and then Calvin Harris is probably 4.
Not big on the DJ scene, huh?
Not big on the DJ scene, but if you had thrown in maybe a different Calvin, as in Snoop Dogg, who's also a Calvin, it may have been a different list.
Oh, good feedback for Seth in PG County. Deep pull. What's Snoop Dogg's full real name?
Calvin Cordoza Broadus Jr. So says Wikipedia.
So it must be true.
It's got to be true.
All right. So final answer. It was Cal Ripken, Calvin from Calvin and Hobbes, Calvin Klein, and then Calvin Harris. Well, let's get into the main event, shall we, Billy? We're here to talk TWiPBYs. Let's give the people what they came for, shall we?
Let's do it.
Billy, for many amateur athletes, you often hear that they play their chosen sport for the love of the game.
I thought you were going to say the fans. We're presenting the TWiPBY for Fan of the Year.
Yes, of course, the Fan of the Year. Billy, why don't you take this one and introduce the nominees?
Okay, here goes. The nominees for Fan of the Year are Mr. Abramson, Mr. Aguila, Mr. Caleb, 3 generations of Fishers, Carly and Buckley Kurtz, Mr. and Mrs. Schultz, and the middle school hockey players at Povich.
Without further ado, the first TWiPY for Fan of the Year goes to, and it's no surprise really, it's a repeat winner. Mr. and Mrs. Schultz. Your immediate reactions seeing your parents' name lit up in lights there?
I mean, I think the data doesn't lie. I think the attendance record speaks for itself. I'm, of course, biased, but I think what's great about Nancy and Mark Schultz is that feel like they've sort of become everyone's parents on the team. I mean, not just showing up to an 8 p.m. Tuesday night game at a Robinson, but the attention to detail around trying to create a differentiated amount of snacks for the team, knowing that certain players prefer certain things. I mean, it's a really selfless act by the two of them.
Yeah, they are second to none when it comes to Patriots fans. And I think it's safe to say they've got a pretty good stranglehold on this TWiPY now 2 years running. Well, let's shift gears to another feel-good award, I think. It's the ever-ambiguous dugout guy. Billy, you coined this one. Can you shed some light here?
Yeah, dugout guy is someone that just creates a really great atmosphere in the dugout. Just an all-around good guy, makes the game fun, takes it seriously, and someone that really everyone in the dugout can look to for some support and really a pick-me-up no matter what the situation is. That's how I think about dugout guy.
A lot of criteria there, but really any way you slice it, it is certainly one of the most prestigious TWiPYs. So let's meet the nominees for dugout guy. Thomas Aguia, Will Brook, Matt Coliani, Justin DiLorenzo, Keith Fisher, Sean McEnheimer, Austin Morgan, Jeff Pyatt, Nick Richards. And the TWiPY for dugout guy goes to it's Matt Coliani. Matt Coliani, one of the relative newcomers, part of the Senators merger just a couple years ago. Very, very well-deserved win for Matt. He's an awesome presence in the dugout. Can't say enough about Matt.
I mean, I'm biased. I voted for the guy. I mean, this is a guy that's got a long history of being a great dugout guy, going all the way back to Vienna, Babe Ruth, grew up in the area. He's a great presence in the dugout and on the field. This is a well-deserved award this year.
He's a selfless guy. He'll play any position. I think he played last year maybe everywhere but catcher. I mean, he was in the outfield. He was at first base. He was around the infield. Obviously a big part of the pitching staff. Hats off to Matt Coliani. Very well-deserved indeed. All right, Billy, before we get into the third TWiPY of the evening, would love to switch gears with you for just a quick second and jump into our Hungry for More snack bracket. And what we've done here, we've got 8 of our favorite Patriots snacks up against 8 of the all-time quintessential ballpark snacks. And we're going to systematically, scientifically go through this Sweet 16, if you will, and get down to the ultimate Hungry for More snack. Billy, we're going to start you over in the Northeast Regional. That's our ballpark bracket. And you're going to take on some heavy hitters. We've got the number 1 seed, Hot Dogs, with a first-round matchup against the number 8 seed, Cotton Candy. And then Chicken Tenders versus Nachos in a really tough 4-5 matchup. So first, Hot Dog, Cotton Candy, who you got?
Yeah, look, there's not going to be any upsets here. Hot dog's going to take this one. Cotton candy is a great occasional treat. You can kind of take a few bites, but it just doesn't have the endurance factor. It's really, really challenging to finish an entire thing of cotton candy, unless you're a child. But hot dog is a consistent theme of baseball. Hot dog's going to take this one.
Quickly, ketchup, mustard, relish. What are your go-to fixings for a hot dog?
Yeah, so I'm a mustard guy, but I'm kind of one of those people. I'll take a hot dog anyway. I'll take it with chili and cheese. I'll take a ketchup, mustard, and relish. I'll even take a mustard and onions on top of it.
Wow.
And maybe even plain, depending on the quality of the beef that's going into that hot dog. That can be plain. I'll take a hot dog any which way.
Love that. We will not go down the rabbit hole of whether or not a hot dog is a sandwich or not, because of course we all know a hot dog is not a sandwich. Okay, let's look at our next first round matchup. This is a tough one. Chicken tenders versus nachos. I think in my mind, I'm thinking about these as like a loaded full meal kind of nachos, not just like tortilla chips and, Cheese Whiz, but I'll leave that to your interpretation. Chicken tenders, the number 4 seed, versus nachos, the number 5 seed. Who you got, Billy?
Yeah, so I think we're going to see our first upset of the brackets here. I'm going to go ahead and say that nachos is going to take it over chicken tendies. Reason why is that chicken tendies, especially from a baseball ballpark perspective, they tend to be a little bit on the cold side. They don't get that crisp fried layer unless you get an occasional good batch of tendies. Tendies to me are really more about the condiments than even the chicken tendies. I mean, a bad chicken tendy can be overcome by a great barbecue sauce or maybe even a honey mustard if you're feeling adventurous.
Yep.
Nachos for me is just the kind of snack that even when it's bad, it's kind of good. So taking your prior example, I'll take some stale tortilla chips and some Cheese Whiz at a baseball game to a fully loaded set of nachos that might even have some chicken and sour cream and guac. I think consistently nachos take the cake on this one.
That's quite an indictment for chicken tenders that even soggy nachos would beat them out, but it's hard to argue with the rest of your rationale. So we set up a second round matchup. Boy, this is hot dog versus nachos for a spot in our Hungry for More snack bracket Final Four. Coming out of the ballpark bracket, the Northeast Regional. Billy, who you got? Hot dog, nachos.
I got to tell you, it's been potentially a great Cinderella run here for nachos, but unfortunately, they're not going to progress to the next round. Hot dogs takes it. Hot dog is just too big a part of America and ballparks to lose out to nachos. So it's a great run, but hot dogs is going to progress into the next round.
I think that's right. It sets up potentially, depending what happens down in the Southeast region, a very tasty matchup with brats. And so brats versus hot dog potentially. That will be hotly debated indeed. All right, well, Billy, let's jump back into our final TWiPY. Billy, for many personality traits, they say it takes one to know one, which is why I can't think of anyone better to help present the TWiPY for Hothead of the Year.
Not really sure I like where this is going.
Hey, I'm just reading from the script here, but you are last year's winner, so it only seems fitting.
Okay. Let's get on with it.
All right, then. Here are the nominees for Hothead of the Year. Billy Schultz, Damon Cruz, and the TWiPY for Hothead of the Year goes to... Wow, would you look at that? It's Damon Cruz, unseating the incumbent. Billy, I knew it was always going to take something special to dethrone you. What did you see from Damon this year?
Look, Chad, Damon just brought it all season long. I mean, one of the biggest aspects of his performance this year was the consistency. He really set a whole new bar. And I mean, honestly, Chad, I'm going to have to do a little bit of soul searching and a little bit of self-scouting in the off season to reset my own performance. I'm not sure I can get to that level. And honestly, this has me thinking, how bad do I want it? I'm really going to have to step up my game.
So what do you think? Bottom line, Billy, Damon, is he a worthy successor?
I couldn't handpick a better successor. He's really going to wear the honor proudly. And like I said, I think he's created a new high watermark for all of us to aspire to. So massive kudos to him. It's really hard to bring it with that level of intensity and consistency for an entire Fed ball season. So really, really well deserved.
Certainly made quite an impression in his first year with the Patriots. What a season it was for Damon Cruz, this year's hothead of the year. Billy, that's 3 for 3 on the TWiPBYs. Really appreciate you coming on the show and can't wait to get back out there with you come opening day.
Thanks for having me, Chad.
All right, and that was Patriots outfielder Billy Schultz. We'll be back with more TWiPBYs right after this.
For acceptance speeches, behind-the-scenes red carpet content, and more from this year's TWiPBYs, plus exclusive and sporadic coverage all year long from your Washington Patriots, follow at 1210 WPBR on Instagram. When you're in the mood for authentic Italian food that'll take you straight back to Nona's kitchen, look no further than Gregorio's Trattoria. The official dining partner of Fedball, no one does Italian quite like Gregorio's. And don't let the casual atmosphere fool you. Gregorio's is more than just a restaurant. It's a dining experience, serving up specialty Italian plates with a taste of Rome in every bite. Take your meal to the next level with our curated wine list. It's updated weekly with only the finest selection of seasonal wines imported straight from the old country. Enjoy a night of Italian bliss without breaking the bank, complete with great service, delivered in a warm, welcoming environment. From special occasions to post-game parties, Gregorio's is perfect for group outings of all sizes. So stop by Gregorio's Trattoria tonight. Menu subject to change, quantities may be limited at some locations, bottomless breadsticks available with full-size entrees only. For franchise opportunities, visit gregoriostrottoria.com.
All right, welcome back to the show. Before we bring on our next presenter, there's been some online feedback from our conversation with Billy in the previous segment, so I did just want to take a quick second here to address some of those comments. First, there's some consternation about the lack of acknowledgement for young Nick Nimarella Jr. as a nominee for Fan of the Year. You'll remember Nick Jr. and his starring role as we debuted the first ever Pats Live in-game experience packages. Nick, of course, serving valiantly in the role of honorary Bat Boy. All I can say is, hold tight, fans. I'm confident we will hear from Nick Jr. before the night is out. Secondly, and I'm personally a little embarrassed about this, in our Hungry for More snack bracket discussion of nachos, I erred in referring to plain nachos as chips and cheese whiz. Of course, I meant nacho cheese. Perhaps a cousin of cheese whiz, but certainly deserving of its own distinction as nacho cheese. I am glad to say it didn't adversely affect nachos' matchup with chicken tenders. Nonetheless, apologies to nachos aficionados everywhere. All right, and with that housekeeping out of the way, let's get on with the show. Our next guest has 3 career TWiPBYs to his name. He is one of the true Iron Men of our sport. Of course, we're talking about Patriots catcher Jeff Gregorio. Jeff, welcome to the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the 2nd annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast.
Well, Chad, big honor. Thank you so much. By the way, impressive that you've stepped it up so much with the sponsors this year. Gregorio's Trattoria, one of my favorites, that's for sure.
We thought you might like that, so glad it's got your stamp of approval. That's for sure. Hey, quickly, while we're on the topic of food, we just heard some of Billy's picks in the Hungry for More snack bracket. Probably no surprises, I wouldn't think, with hot dog and nachos, and then ultimately hot dog, advancing out of his Northeast region. But any reactions there to his picks?
It's tough nachos came close, but it's tough to go against the hot dog, especially during those summer months and at the ballpark. And it's no big surprise that Billy picked hot dogs.
All right, well, we'll give you a chance to make some picks as well here a little bit later in the show.
I'm looking forward to it.
Well, first things first, as we reflect on 2022, what were some of your takeaways, personally about your performance, and then of course so much team success that we had?
Personally, performance-wise, a bit of a slow start last year, and aimed to do a little better this year. Had a few things going on last year that led me to not be as dedicated as I should have been, perhaps entering the season. As far as the team goes, what can you say? 18 wins, back-to-back years with 18 wins. Since COVID, I think we're averaging about 15 wins a season, which historically I think puts us in the best 3-year run. I would think of all time.
What are you implying, that there were some lean years in Patriots history?
I picked up on during some of the shorter or years that we had less depth at pitching. There were some guys out there that just pitched far too many, or perhaps shouldn't have been pitching at all.
I can neither confirm nor deny, but I would say that's probably a pretty astute observation. So, it's been an amazing 3-year run. Of course, culminated last year by our first World Series appearance. What was it like playing under the big lights in the World Series?
It was awesome. I mean, having the excitement of the World Series, being the first time that we were in the World Series, and just having a different level there. I think we're all disappointed with how it wound up, but I think it battle tests us a little bit more for this year, and I will virtually guarantee that we will be in the playoffs this year.
That's a safe bet, yeah.
It is a safe bet, yes. Mm-hmm.
Jeff, I want to circle back to something that you said there a second ago, that you felt your dedication to the team wasn't really where it could have or should have been. Man, you played 26 games last year, many of them complete games behind the plate. So you logged a lot of grueling innings there. I guess I'll say that first, but secondly, you've got to really love the off season and a chance to just let your body heal up and rest.
Little bit. I think my dedication part was kind of getting ready for the season last year. I think I started a little later than I wanted to. Wasn't able to hit as much as I had the year previously, and I really don't see that happening this year at all.
Some of those things maybe that kept your focus away from the diamond. Baby Sienna, she continues to grow and be a beautiful addition to the Gregorio family. And we know you've also been battling a really tough home renovation project. How have those two things been going? Give us a little update. And
yeah, she's fantastic. She's thriving. In the last year and a half, she's lived in 4 different homes. So that's kind of been that kind of took away from some of my hitting. I really, quite frankly, didn't know where my hitting net was or any of my things. So in 2021, we lost our house to a kind of a catastrophic water issue. Fast forward, we're back in our house now. Renovation's complete, about 98% complete. And we're rocking and rolling. So she's doing great. Liz and I are doing fantastic, and we're completely focused on family and Patriots baseball.
Love that. Well, from all indications, I would say the new and improved Gregorio household is a prime candidate to host some Patriots get-togethers at some point in the coming season. So I think we all look forward to that.
I do hope to have some kind of kickoff to start the season or shortly after the season begins.
Love that. Hey, one more off-season storyline I want to get to. one of the fun traditions about Fed Ball is the golf tournament that they put on at the conclusion of every season. I got to join the foursome this year, and I can attest what a great event it was.
Yeah, so we had some big hitters there. Austin was one of them, and he really hits the ball.
Boy, does he ever!
I'd say he's probably a better long ball golfer than he is a long ball baseball hitter.
Tip of the hat as well to Jeff Pyatt rounding out our foursome. So
of course,
it was a great day. Well, hey, before we move on, are you up for taking a few fan questions?
Yeah, sure. Love the fans.
Awesome. Well, this first one comes from Carl in Woodbridge. And Carl says here, first time, long time. Speaking of, Jeff, why aren't you on the podcast more?
I think it's a delicate balance for family and fun, which Fed Ball has been a ton of, and lack of invites, Chad.
Well, hold on. I thought this was just going to be a flowery answer here. And you had to sneak that one in. Let the record reflect that at least on one occasion last year there was an invite, and we got the Heisman. We got turned down.
It's true. I think that was late. That was late in the season, and I did not get my ducks in a row that week.
So Carl in Woodbridge, know that it is a little bit of a two-way street. But it's it's not for lack of trying, but of course we've got to balance personal and professional lives as well. So we will continue to endeavor to get Jeff on the podcast more, but in any case, we hope you're enjoying his appearance here today. Speaking of one of your big appearances on this very show last year, we've got another question from Elizabeth in McLean, and she wants to know, which of last year's TWiPBYs are you most proud of? You won 3 TWiPBYs last year. And how hard was it to not let all of those awards go to your head?
The TWiPBY that made me most proud was clearly Father of the Year, where our daughter was born that year, and she got to attend some games as well. So that's I think that eclipses any of the other ones that I received, which those were also much appreciated. How did they not go to my head? I don't know that they didn't. It's really hard not to really embrace all of the value that they provide in your life. So they have not gone unnoticed and unappreciated.
Displayed proudly, I'm sure, on your mantle at home and on your LinkedIn profile as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's at the bottom of my resume. Absolutely.
Well, maybe bump it up a line or two on the resume.
It's under other skills, yes.
Other skills and interests. That's good.
That's right. Good. That's right. It's Microsoft Excel and a bunch of TWiPBYs.
That's a great conversation starter. Well, hey, let's get to the main event here. Speaking of the TWiPBYs, It is fitting that of all people, you're here to help present this award, because no one had a better perspective on this next TWiPBY than you.
Which one is that, Chad? Creakiest knees, achiest back.
Interestingly enough, those just missed the cut for this year's show. I'm actually talking about the lights out pitching performance of the year.
Oh, the Connor Lewis Award?
Exactly. Of course, a nod to last year's winner, Connor Lewis, who actually swept all of the nominees. So, sure, here are the nominees for the Connor Lewis lights out pitching performance. Damon Cruz, June 1st versus the Flying Squirrels. Damon Cruz, June 10th versus the DC Knights. Paul McClure, August 3rd versus the Trash Pandas. Paul McClure and Will Brook in the playoffs versus the DC Knights. Will Brook in the first game of the Fed Ball World Series versus the Washington Wood Ducks. And the winner of the TWiPBY for the Connor Lewis lights out pitching performance goes to... Really no surprise here. It was round 2 of the playoffs versus the DC Knights. Paul McClure started it. Will Brook closed the door. Well-deserving co-winners of this year's lights out pitching performance. Jeff, again, you caught every inning of that game. What do you remember from that extra inning thriller to knock off the Knights?
This game in particular, I do remember that it was just an epic tag team win where both guys had amazing control, were painting corners, and particularly, if I remember correctly, both had really dominating off speed pitches that we were going to quite a bit. And I think this also was a game where Will just wanted to go right at him, and I think it gave us a boost.
Well, that's a good tease for an upcoming award. So hold that thought. But hey, while we're on this particular award, I do want to acknowledge all of the arms that contributed to the Patriots' success last year from the mound. It can be a thankless job. It can be a job that sometimes guys are thrust into out of desperation or if we're light on numbers. And so just running quickly through everybody that appeared on the mound last year. We've said his name already in this particular award. Connor Lewis, some might forget, I believe it was opening day. He did pitch one inning for the 2022 Patriots. So Connor Lewis, Damon Cruz, Justin DiLorenzo, big part of that starting rotation. Kevin O'Brien, always crafty from the left side out of the bullpen. Matt Coliani, Mike Mayer. I think Mike would probably be the first one to say if he's pitching too many innings, that's probably not a good sign. But to Mike's credit, the stat line here says he had a 0 ERA for the season. Now, he has administrative access to the books, so maybe take that with a little grain of salt, but in 4 innings this year, Mike continues to deliver when called upon from the mound. Nick Richards suffered really one of the ugliest injuries of the season, and we're glad it wasn't worse. But Nick Richards, some big innings for us out there. Of course, Paul McClure, first season with the Patriots, and it was a memorable one. Third on the team in total innings pitched, even though he joined mid-season. Rob Gunther, some important innings for us. Sammy Crisciatello, another lefty that could really pump it over the plate. Todd Hartman had 1/3 of an inning. And last but certainly not least, Will Brook, 50 right on the nose. Really quality innings for the Patriots, including in the postseason, took his game to another level. So hats off to all of the Patriots pitchers, and especially for this award, Paul McClure, Will Brook, impressive in that postseason win over the Knights.
Absolutely. Some great names there and some excitement about what they're going to do this year.
All right. Well, Jeff, what's that they say that records are meant to be broken?
Broken or tied?
Well, yeah, I guess that's true, and especially this year for this particular award, that's correct.
Whether it's matching records, setting new ones, each of this year's nominees for milestones of the year deserve to be celebrated. Here they are. Our first World Series appearance, number 4 on Game Changer Virginia Power Rankings, tying the 2020 season, 10-game regular season winning streak, 18 wins, tying the 2021 season, 117 minutes of This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast coverage. And the winner is first World Series appearance.
Shouldn't really be surprised. That was the culmination of another special season of Patriots baseball. I think each of those other milestones, again, worthy of celebration and recognition, but no bigger stage. I mean, that's why we play this game, to get to the World Series, ultimately to win championships. And I think to get our first taste of it this year, it was really something very special.
Yeah, exactly, Chad. For many of us, the first World Series appearance was amazing. It was something that we hadn't been exposed to before, and it's something that I know that we want to experience again.
Absolutely. You know, I do want to talk quickly about a couple of these other nominees. First of all, I think a lot of people called BS on the number 4 Game Changer Power Rankings. That is actually a thing, and it didn't get a lot of votes because I think people thought that it was made up, but it is actually a thing. So it tied our highest ever appearance on those rankings. So certainly something to be proud of. The other item that I want to call attention to personally. 117 minutes of This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast coverage. Of course, that was compressed to just each round of the postseason. Kudos to the team here at This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast for cranking out those long hours and incredible content and access. Anyway, a special milestone there.
It appears that it could be a little bit of work to get all this put together, and for that we're all thankful.
Well, it's a labor of love. I appreciate the kind words, and pandering, as we've said before, doesn't get you anywhere on the TWiPBY voting process. It is the ultimate democracy.
The votes are in then.
The votes are already in. The envelope is hermetically sealed until we open it here live on the show. Valiant effort nonetheless. All right, Jeff, well, let's get to the final TWiPBY Award of this particular segment. And it's a good segue because you're on the short list for this one. Of course, we're talking about the quotable quote of the year. Before we meet the nominees, big picture question. Jeff, what is your favorite baseball saying of all time?
I probably have two, Chad. The first is swing as hard as you can in case you hit it. And one that is more relevant to me is I've lost some of my my power to the gaps is hit them where they ain't. I believe that's Willie Keeler who said that.
Oh, those two kind of go hand in hand, and that's very, very sound advice. Well, hey, listen up, because this year's nominees for Quotable Quote, I think, are just as likely to reverberate through the history of baseball as those two. So let's meet the nominees for Quotable Quote. No way. We're going after the next guy. Let's go. Will Brook. Take a peek inside the streak. Keith Fisher. I'm not getting into a fight. I've got too many assets. Jeff Gregorio. Experience the thrill. Nick Nimarella Jr. Everyone knows the earth is flat. Sean McEnheimer. Allegedly. Elon Musk is my hero. Jeff Pyatt. Definitely. It's pandemonium at Povich. 1210 WPBR's Chet Sturgler. All right, without further ado, we said the votes were in. We said the envelope was sealed until this very moment. Just want to underscore that again as we reveal the winner for the Quotable Quote of the Year. And would you look at that, it is... Jeff Gregorio. Jeff, Quotable Quote of the Year. How's it feel?
Well, it's quite an honor, and I would actually like to see a tally of the votes here to make sure that Jeff Pyatt didn't vote many times, because he's been repeating this one since I said it.
So what was the context that led to this particular instance?
I believe that it was after the inning that Damon was pitching.
This is 2022 Hothead of the Year winner, Damon Cruz.
Yes. I think he was challenging the entire Knights team to fisticuffs, and I simply, I think it was a Tuesday night, I simply was not interested, and that has a few reasons behind it. One, my assets, and the worst thing about winning a fight is the next day when the lawyers come.
Well, thankfully, just to put a bow on it, cooler heads did in fact prevail. And the Patriots also prevailed that evening against the Knights. So just another interesting chapter, we shall say, in the story of the 2022 Patriots. Jeff, congratulations. I think that now breaks the tie, and you're the all-time winningest TWiPBY Award recipient now with 4.
That's amazing and surprising. I mean, to be the all-time leader in an award like this is quite humbling. I really appreciate it.
I mean, I might almost have thought you'd be speechless, but of course we know that's not the case. One more thing before we get you out of here, Jeff. We promised that we would revisit the Hungry for More snack bracket. We'd love your culinary perspective here. All right, a couple matchups to get through. We've got the number 1 seed and last year's somewhat controversial. There's a footnote here, but last year's co-winner for snack of the year, Goldfish, going up against Carrots, and the number 4 and 5 seeded matchup, Water Ice, Italian Ice, Slushy, Snow Cone, whatever your regional affiliation may be, going up against Fancy Nuts. So that's not peanuts, but that's cashews, almonds, maybe a macadamia nut. Let's start with Goldfish versus Carrots.
Really not a fair matchup here. Carrots clearly coming out, playing against a very hot Goldfish team here. Goldfish wins 15-1 here. Not even close.
Now, part of the controversy, I think that's right. And I say that even as somebody that loves a good carrot nub. But part of the controversy from last year, if our astute listeners will recall, Goldfish was co-winner with Chipotle, but Keith Fisher, in announcing the winner, he actually made the distinction that he prefers pretzel Goldfish to the orange traditional cheese Goldfish. So this year we have clearly delineated the two.
This is where we need a balance of power here. I think when we say Goldfish, no one was talking about pretzel Goldfish, Chad, right? I mean, I think that's fair. This is what the Schultzes bring to the games. I think we need to be clear on that.
It's a terrible take from Keith. So he may have his say yet in the Hungry for More snack bracket, because Goldfish are there lurking in the Southwest Regional, but in this matchup, traditional Goldfish, as you said, really in a landslide over Carrots. All right, let's shift to the bottom of this region. Number 4 seeded. It sounds like historically for you, Jeff, you refer to this more as an Italian Ice. I think that tracks, going head to head with Fancy Nuts. We've got sweet versus salty here. Where do you fall?
As an Italian, we're proud of this, and this is something that Rita has done a good job with. And I think the Italian Ice over the Fancy Nut, particularly during the months that we play these games, I got to go with the Italian Ice as a refreshing snack. Hard to keep viable during a Patriots game, especially at Povich when it's hitting 95 to 100. But I think the Italian Ice, I think it's gonna beat Fancy Nuts most days.
You know, that's I think that's well said. There's good reason to your choice there. In addition to the probably personal and emotional draws to Italian Ice. I think logistically it makes a lot of sense as well. Of course, leave it to Damon Cruz this year. The reason that Italian Ice or Water Ice is even on the ballot here, Damon somehow, I don't know if it was I think it was the ice cream truck at Povich. I think he tracked down the ice cream truck in the middle of a game between innings and actually got himself an Italian Ice. And, I think everybody sort of looked at him funny at first, but I'd say he had the last laugh, because that day was a scorcher, and, it came in handy for him.
I believe, coincidentally, Damon was in his car mid-game near the ice cream truck. Okay. I'm not sure why, but I think he was craving some Italian Ice after he got out of his car.
Sounds like maybe a recreational break between innings?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that sets up another sweet versus salty, cool versus room temperature matchup here for a seat in the final 4 of the Hungry for More snack bracket. We've got the top seeded and defending champion Goldfish going up against Italian ice. Jeff, settle this one for us. High stakes.
God, I'm going Italian ice.
Wow! We have our first monumental upset of the Hungry for More snack bracket. Jeff, how did you decide between these two heavyweights and ultimately land with the underdog Italian ice?
I think you got to give some credit to Italian ice just to get into the bracket here and how it got into the bracket. So the story is gold. Goldfish has kind of, it's been there. But if you think about some of those hotter, Povich days, man, there's nothing more satisfying than an Italian ice.
Hey, it doesn't matter how you win. It's just about survive and advance. And Italian ice has done that. Exciting stuff. Great picks here, Jeff. Really appreciate you coming on the show, lending your expertise and perspective. Of course, huge congratulations on another TWiPBY win.
Just one more announcement here.
Yes.
I believe there will be a catcher for the 2048 season. Liz and I are expecting a baby boy due September 14th, and you are among the first to hear about it. We're super excited.
Jeff, to you and your lovely wife Liz, what amazing news. Congratulations to you both. I know Patriots fans are thrilled.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Appreciate the time.
All right. That was Patriots catcher Jeff Gregorio, and we'll be back with more from the second annual TWiPBY Awards and the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, right after this.
Know a Pats fan soon to be celebrating a special occasion? Sure, you could get them the latest apparel or tickets to an upcoming game, but you want something uniquely personalized to them. Look no further, because your Washington Patriots are now on Cameo. That's right, it's the popular app for video shoutouts that lets you send custom messages from your favorite Patriots personalities straight to your friends and family. It's a once-in-a-lifetime keepsake they'll cherish forever. Choose from the entire roster, perfect for weddings, birthdays, graduations, and more. Or send a roast. Yes, the Honorable Luke Mirabella will serve up a scathing rebuke for any kangaroo court violation you can conceive. For long-standing fans, browse our ever-growing roster of available Pats throwbacks for a one-of-a-kind blast from the past. Choose from Patriots of yore, including Al Chimichella, Russ Kessinger, Brian Dugdale, and more. And as a special offer for this year's TWiPBYs, enter promo code FAIR-OR-FOUL at checkout for a bonus message from Pat's play-by-play man Chet Sturgler. Free with the purchase of any cameo featuring a 2022 TWiPBY winner. Impress your friends as Chet includes them in a starting lineup announcement, or as the hero from any number of historic Patriots moments.
1-0 is the count. Bases loaded. Bottom of the ninth. Tie ball game.
Bob Smith
Steps back into the batter's box. It all comes down to this. Here's the 1-0 pitch. Ground ball. Base hit through a hole on the right side. And Patnell is going to score. The Patriots win. The Patriots win. They are going crazy here at Barcroft.
The only limitation is your creativity, so download Cameo today. Available in the App Store, Google Play, or by visiting cameo.com/TWiPBY. Don't forget to enter promo code FAIR-OR-FOUL for your free gift with purchase. Don't delay, that's promo code FAIR-OR-FOUL for a free gift with purchase. One more time, all one word, that's promo code FAIR-OR-FOUL. The Washington Patriots and Cameo. You heard it here first.
Welcome back to This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, and the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook featuring the second annual TWiPBY Awards. All right, our next guest may just about be our biggest get in the history of the show. Allow me to run through some accolades for you. He is a graduate of James Madison University, where he founded and is the secretary of their club baseball program. He's a Hall of Fame inductee in DC MSBL. He's an incredibly well-respected local high school baseball coach and budding amateur photographer. And he's the founder and president of the Federal Baseball League. Of course, we're talking about the Fed Ball Commissioner. Please join me in welcoming Kevin McGinney. Kevin, welcome to the show. Really appreciate you taking some time out. Welcome to This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast.
Thanks for having me. Excited to be on the show, and I've been looking forward to joining you guys.
Fantastic. Oh, and can I call you Kevin or Mr. Commissioner, or how formal are we going here?
Yeah, Kevin's fine.
All right, lovely. Well, Kevin, this is a thrill for us. It's an honor to have you on the show. A little bit of trivia, though. Did you know that actually, while you're the highest ranking member of the Fed Ball front office to join the podcast, you actually are not the first member of the Fed Ball front office to appear?
You know, I did hear a rumor that Scott Kelsky made an appearance on the podcast.
That is correct. It was an opening day podcast. I actually don't know that he was aware that he was appearing on the podcast, but it was when we were picking up the season allotment of baseballs, and it's actually an underrated but one of my favorite moments in This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast history. So anyway, he's set the bar high, but I'm confident that we can surpass even Scott Kelsky's brief cameo on the show. So again, welcome, and let's get into it. I guess just for fans that aren't familiar, tell us a little bit about Fed Ball and your involvement and how it started, and just the history of this great league.
Yeah, so Federal Baseball League is a 18 and up wood bat league. We play from April through October, and we play at high school and park fields all across Northern Virginia, and a little bit in Montgomery County, Maryland. We started in 2014, and this season, 2023, is our 10th year, which is a really cool milestone. I originally had been a part of DC MSBL since back in 1996, and we branched off after following the 2013 season and started Fed Ball, and we've been going strong ever since.
Well, hey, congratulations on 10 years. Any big developments or new pieces to the league as you look into this milestone now, decade of existence? That's really exciting.
Yeah, so the news in terms of teams in the league this year, we're going to have 8 total teams. So the Gridlock merged with the Squirrels, and we picked up a new team for our 8th squad, and that's the Potomac Clementes from the Industrial League. And so we're excited to have them.
Very interesting. And now, of course, you're joining us live from the Fed Ball winter meetings. Any other news and notes or rumor mill type nuggets that you can share as you're looking ahead to the 2023 season?
So a couple of things with the fields that we use. So Montgomery County, Maryland increased the rates of our pay for use at Povich by 122% for the 2023 season. And they've projected to increase it by 270% for the 2024 season, but that's yet to be voted in. So as a result, we've had to change up our permit structure at Povich for this season. So our games in June, July, and August will be 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And then come fall in September and October, it'll probably be back to the 2 games per Saturday, per Sunday.
As you know, the theme of the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook is hungry for more. And I would say one of the elements, love playing at Povich. One of the pieces, though, that always sticks in my craw just a little bit, that concession stand is never open. So is this a 122% increase? Any chance that's going to go toward opening up that concession stand during games?
So unfortunately for us, no chance. But it's a good question you bring up, because the college team that plays there, the Bethesda Big Train, the county allows them to bring food trucks. So they have contracted food trucks that sell hot dogs and sandwiches and beers at their games. But unfortunately, Fedball has not been able to obtain the approval from the county to have food trucks yet. But it's something we would certainly like to look into.
Fans would really love it. That would take the game day experience to a whole nother level. One other piece I'm curious about, you see a lot of these new rules going into Major League Baseball, the bigger bases. To what extent do you keep your eye on those things and thinking about tinkering with those types of rule or pace of play changes in Fedball, or do you like to see how that plays out at the Major League level first?
Well, for us, we're so reliant on whatever the high schools and the parks put in terms of bases. So for us to make a change, it would really have to get made at the county level. So I'm really interested to see how the MLB season shakes out with these changes. The shift rule, the bases, the clock. That stuff should all be really interesting. I've been paying a little bit of attention here in the early part of spring training, but we'll have to wait and see how that shakes out.
Watch this space, I suppose, and see if that's interesting. You say that sort of works its way from the high school level and the county level. So also wanted to ask you about a couple of the league's tentpole off-season events. One is the All-Star Game. That's always an exciting time to get the best players from across the league together. Any highlights or notable notes from this year's festivities?
Yeah, so we had a really good turnout. We had about 35 players come out for the All-Star Game, and we did something new this year. We decided we wanted to use the All-Star Game as an opportunity to test out some different baseballs. So we ordered both Rawlings and Diamond collegiate baseballs that have the low seams, and we wanted to see how pitchers and infielders, et cetera, how they liked playing with the low seam baseballs. The feedback was that the low seam baseballs were not liked. The pitchers especially wanted to go back to our traditional baseball.
No surprise.
So that was good feedback. And that was pretty much across the board that the pitchers did not like the low seams.
Very interesting. And you see it's so commonplace now. All these all-star games are taking on different and unique formats. What's the format for those that aren't familiar with selecting the two teams in the Fedball All-Star Game?
So the way we do it is we ask each team to nominate players, and I believe this year we asked for around 6 players per team, and we wanted to have at least one pitcher as part of the nomination process. And it's always, catchers can always be difficult to come by in the All-Star Game as well. So sometimes we have to ask teams to make sure they nominate a catcher. But one of the things that we think is pretty cool, the way we actually pick the teams is we take the 2 All-Star coaches and we let them do a draft. So they're not drafting individual players, but they're drafting the teams. So, for example, if you were the coach of one of the All-Star teams, your first pick, you could pick whichever team you wanted, and you would get all 6 players.
Interesting.
And then the other coach could pick a team, and they get all 6 players, and you keep going until you've got your roster set.
Do you do snake draft or alternating?
We did alternating, and we've done it over just text message the past couple of years.
I might recommend a snake draft just as a new rule for 2023. That's fascinating. Well, another highlight of the off season, of course, is always the Fedball golf tournament. Tell us how that came to be and what goes into running that event.
Yeah, so the golf tournament started actually before Fedball started. So we started the golf tournament in 2012 as an Oakton Orioles golf outing. There were 12 guys, and we started as just an Oakton O's outing, and it continued to grow. And then once we started Fed Ball, we decided, hey, this would be a good idea to raise money for charities. And so every year we would pick a charity and we would fundraise and have a silent auction to raise money. And we've raised money for Wounded Warrior Foundation, Children's National Medical Center, Special Olympics Virginia, Lost Dog and Cat Rescue. And so we had always had a charitable component up until COVID. And when COVID hit, we continued to have the golf tournament, but the fundraising was nearly impossible because most of the places where we would fundraise gift cards and donations were the restaurant industry. And because they were hit so hard by COVID, we didn't feel comfortable asking them to donate. And so we haven't had the charitable portion of it the last couple of years, but we're looking to bring that back. One thing that was different this year is that we actually held the golf tournament at the end of October. Every year prior to this, we had held it in August, just prior to Labor Day. And this year, just the timing didn't work out with reserving the golf course. So we went ahead and did it in October, and the weather was fantastic. It was so much nicer than playing in 100-degree weather in August. And we're going to do October again this year for 2023.
Well, then in that case, I'm glad that I skipped all those previous years. And yeah, I concur. You couldn't have asked for a better day to play golf this past year. So that was an awesome event and a lot of fun. One other highlight of 2022 that you really had to get excited about, I know the fans did, as you know, all eyes turned to the Fed Ball World Series. Boy, it seemed like the media attention really spiked there going into the Fall Classic. Local, national reporters. What'd you think when you started to see some of that media coverage before the Patriots and Wood Ducks?
I thought it was really cool. There were lots of Instagram lives. There were lots of story posts, lots of Instagram, Facebook posts. I thought it was neat to see the Fed Ball name getting the national recognition we all think it deserves.
I mean, does that get overwhelming, when the ESPNs, the Fox Sports, CNN, Keith Fisher and his hometown New York Post, they made the trip down. Juggling the media inquiries and that sort of thing, is that overwhelming and cumbersome, or you welcome that spotlight?
We definitely welcome it. We had one really interesting contact at the start of the year. We got the Porta-John company that I guess puts Porta-Johns out at all the local parks and fields.
Sure.
Contacted us to ask if we were going to have a need for an increased Porta-John order this year. Thankfully, we don't have to order Porta-Johns. They're provided by the schools, but I thought that was interesting, and possibly that was a result of all the media coverage.
That's interesting. I can't say I know too much about that. But that's probably as good a segue as any to talk about some of the incredible photography that you were capturing throughout the season. And fans of the show have been a little bit up in arms because this year's TWiPBY Awards have been streamlined. Last year we had as many as 22. This year we're down to just 9. But you know what? Right here on the spot, we're going to make an executive decision, and we are going to add a new TWiPBY to the show. Never had it before. It's going to be the TWiPBY for Photo of the Year. Before we get to the nominees, though, would love to just hear a little bit of your background in photography. And is that a hobby? Is that something more than that? Because some of your shots, as fans see, are really spectacular.
Thanks. Yeah, no, I'm totally an amateur. It's a hobby. Like, my dad got me into photography many years ago. This was before like digital cameras, back when I was still using, like a traditional, 35 millimeter film camera. And so this would have been, back in like the late 90s. And my parents, they had always been involved in photography. And so that's how I picked it up. And let's see, the camera I've got now, it's a Sony digital camera, full frame, mirrorless. I bought it back in 2019 and just have really gotten into it since then. And I thought, what better way than to get out and shoot some Fed ball games. So yeah, it's a really cool, fun hobby.
All right, well, without further ado, let's meet the nominees for the inaugural TWiPY for Photo of the Year. Mound Visit. Safe at Home. Shard Knock Life. Stare Down. Touched. We Are All Patriots. And the winner of the TWiPY for Photo of the Year goes to... It's Safe at Home, featuring Sean Mackenheimer, Justin DiLorenzo, and Thomas Aguia. Kevin, what do you remember about this shot and tracking the action there, getting that great big dust cloud at home as Sean slides in safely? What an exciting play that was.
So what I remember is like trying to keep my composure, because I just as like a fan of baseball, it was a really exciting play. And I'm trying to capture the moment, but I'm also like really getting into the play. So I remember trying to keep my composure and keep the camera steady. And I had the camera on, blast mode. So I just held down the button and was just firing away, hoping I could get some good shots. And yeah, that one was a really cool one. I enjoyed capturing that one.
I think they call that spray and pray.
Exactly.
Well, that was fantastic. It turned out really well and certainly captured the excitement of the Patriots 2022 season really to a T. Hey, before we get you out of here, would love to get your thoughts on the Hungry for More snack bracket. First of all, we want to get your reactions to the picks in the top halves of each bracket so far. Over on the Patriots side is really where we've had our biggest upset to date. Top seeded Goldfish falling to Italian Ice. Where are you on Goldfish versus Italian Ice?
I would go Italian Ice as well. I agree with that one.
Over on the ballpark bracket side of things, some of the popular traditional ballpark fare, probably no surprise, right, that hot dog advanced, and nachos, chicken tenders could have gone really either way. But between nachos and hot dog, do you like hot dog advancing there as well?
Yeah, for me, it would be hot dog all the way. Nachos are great, but they can be messy at a ball game.
Fair point. All right, well, let's keep you in that ballpark bracket down in the southeast region, where we've got some very appetizing matchups as well. We've got the number 2 seeded Brat going up against probably more of a timeless classic, but I feel like in recent years, Cracker Jacks maybe have fallen off. They're down at the 7 seed. And then, of course, Soft Serve in that miniature novelty helmet going up against Peanuts, the 6 seed. So let's start the Brat and the Cracker Jack. Kevin, who do you got?
I'm going with Brat. I've never been a big Cracker Jack guy, and so this one's easy for me. It's definitely Brat.
I think I have to agree with you. I think if we were in like the 1920s, we might get people talking about Cracker Jack. I don't know if Cracker Jack's been around that long. It just seems like it. All right, down in the bottom side of that bracket, Soft Serve in a novelty helmet or Peanuts.
So as a kid, I would 100% go with the Soft Serve and the novelty helmet. But as an adult, knowing how as a kid I was just covered in ice cream whenever I would get one of those,
yep,
I've got to go Peanuts.
And these are like the Peanuts in a shell.
Yeah, yep, definitely shelled Peanuts for me. I'm going with that.
So you'd rather be covered in all like the peanut shell shrapnel than the sticky melted Soft Serve.
See, with the shrapnel, I feel like you can just take a couple of swipes and then it's all on the ground. It's all off the shorts, off the shirt. with the soft serve, that'll be with you the rest of the day.
Yep. When you did go soft serve, vanilla, chocolate, swirl, sprinkles, no sprinkles?
I would traditionally go vanilla with sprinkles.
Okay. Well, soft serve, Cracker Jack, nice to know you, but brat and peanuts are moving on. All right, here's the big one, Kevin. Brat versus peanuts for a spot in the Hungry for More snack bracket Final Four. Brat, peanuts.
I'm going peanuts with this one.
Wow. Our second consecutive huge upset. Peanuts, the 6th seed, over the number 2 seeded Brat. I will say I'm sort of thankful because it takes the Brat versus hot dog matchup, out of the running, and that really could have been controversial. But peanuts over Brat. I think you're gonna have to explain yourself a little bit here.
Yeah. So for me, the Brat beat Cracker Jacks, not because I love the Brat, it's because I despised Cracker Jacks.
Mm-hmm.
So I do enjoy peanuts. So with the Brat versus peanut matchup, that one was easy for me. The peanuts, hands down, takes the Brat.
Man, peanuts, they're having a moment. They're on a little bit of a run here, and they're all the way into the Final Four of our Hungry for More snack bracket, where hot dog awaits in the ballpark side of things. So, Kevin, thank you for taking part in the bracket. Thank you for making your debut appearance on This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. We say it a lot to our manager, Keith Fisher. It's a thankless job that he's got to keep us all organized, but multiply that times 8 across all of Fedball. I can't imagine how you juggle what you do. So on behalf of the Patriots, we thank you for your dedication and hard work and making things run smoothly, and making Fedball what a great and fun league that it is.
Well, thanks. I really appreciate that.
With that, we'll leave you to the rest of your off-season schedule. We're looking forward to opening day and the 10th season of Fedball. It should be a special one.
Well, awesome. And I really appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, our thanks to Fedball Commissioner Kevin McGinney. We're going to take a quick break, but don't worry. The 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the 2nd annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, returns right after these important messages.
To commemorate this season's debut of Thursday Night Fedball, the team at TNF has minted a one-of-a-kind NFT featuring Austin Morgan's Fedball World Series home run, That Wasn't. That's right, we're putting the non-fun in non-fungible token. The limited release NFT features the latest AI enhancements to upscale the official audio and video from that fateful night, bringing to life one of the season's most unforgettably forgettable plays in incomparable detail and clarity. Don't delay, scan the QR code on your screen to add this iconic moment to your Patriots collection. And if you act now and are one of the first 10 fans 18 or older to purchase, you'll also unlock exclusive in-game extras, including Austin Morgan's profane and uncensored dugout celebration immediately following what ultimately went down as a very loud double in the scorebooks. This can't-miss bonus content is sure to add to the already suffocating sense of what could have been nostalgia whenever you play it. So scan the QR code now. Chatbots are standing by, ready to accept your Ethereum, Snazzle, Chiliz, or Dogecoin payments. Don't delay, scan the QR code now to add this NFT from TNF to your virtual collection. Why just watch it for free on Instagram when you can own it for yourself? Scan the QR code now for your piece of Patriots history. Because Bored Apes are so 2021, but this moment will live in Patriots infamy forever. Scan now before the first and possibly last ever Patriots NFT is wiped from the history books faster than a Fedball World Series home run.
Welcome back to the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the 2nd annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Now, if you thought we would get more than an hour into the show before we brought on our next guest, I'd probably be surprised too. He is a regular to join me here on This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Of course, I'm talking about the skipper, number 17, Patriots manager Keith Fisher. Keith, welcome to the show.
Oh, thanks, Chad. It's great to be back, and what a great show it's been so far. This is amazing to see how the show's grown, and I've been backstage in the green room, of course. Lovely green room, by the way, that you have now.
Everything to your liking back there.
Yeah, no, it really is, first class. It's been a great show so far. I don't know how I feel about Billy trying to outdo Damon for Hothead next year. I don't know if we need that. In fact, I wouldn't mind if we had to sunset that award in the future for lack of candidates. But other than that, great show. Good to hear from the guys. I can't wait to get back with everybody. Heard Gregorio on earlier. I can back you up on that one, Chad. He was invited onto the pod. So
yeah, right?
I was there. I was present. I was present for that. I'm not going to try to get too much on his bad side, though, because I might need to have him catch another 26 games this year. So,
dude, how about getting the commish on the show? Kevin McGinney, what a get for the show.
Amazing get. That's the get.
You're the skipper of the Patriots, so I'd never want to usurp you. But, I mean, he's the commissioner of the league. I mean...
Happy to be overshadowed, for sure. Kevin, obviously, I've talked about this before. He's been somebody who's kind of been on a parallel track in some ways that I have. He started the Orioles when he was in college. I think he's just 1 year ahead of me. So the Patriots and the Orioles, again, the Patriots played the Orioles in the very first season in the playoffs. We lost to them. But that's how far back that rivalry goes, and they've always been obviously a great team and a first-class organization, and Kevin's obviously done so much for us in terms of getting Fed Ball started, and without question Fed Ball's been the best league that the Patriots have played in. So yeah, amazing to have him on the show, and first class.
Very well said, Keith. How about any reaction to any of the TWiPBYs that have been handed out so far? Any surprises or any winners that caught your eye?
It's great to see everyone recognize everyone. Not only the winners but also the nominees are all very well deserving. It's been very enjoyable. Got to call out Matt Coliani, though. Of course, the very prestigious dugout guy. When you look at it, that might be, the most prestigious of all of the awards, really. Matt is just a coach's dream. I love having him on the team. Obviously, his versatility on the field is pretty evident. I think he played almost every position last year. Just such a team-first guy. He's been asked to do a lot of different things, hit a lot of different places in order. And he really just has a team-first attitude, which really is very contagious. So it's great having Coliani on the team. He's been such a huge pickup the past few years.
Now, far be it from me to offer any sort of analysis of somebody's swing as a designated fielder as I am, but Matt's got to have one of the most unique batting stances and swings of anybody on the team, but he still gets it done. What's your take on Coliani's approach at the plate especially?
Yeah, he mentioned it last year as well. He just loves to be out there, and he, just has a nose for the big play, and doesn't shy away from that moment. So he does find a way to get it done. He had just an overall great season last year.
Well, Keith, I also want to be able to talk about you a little bit. Tell us how the off-season has gone for you, probably a shorter off-season with as late as the Patriots' run to the World Series last year went. Has that presented any unique challenges as you try to turn the page to 2023?
It's been an interesting off season. Certainly a lot to reflect on 2022 and how close we got. So in some ways that did, make it a little bit more difficult, to kind of turn the page a little bit. But it's been a good off season. Spent some quality time and spent some vacations with Jess and gotten recharged, and really looking forward to being back out there. We obviously have some unfinished business in 2023.
All right, I love to hear that. Are there any areas in particular of the team up and down the roster that you're looking to bolster here as we progress through the offseason?
Yeah, that's something that we are just continually evaluating, not only at this time of year, but really, throughout the season and in the off season as well. As we get into camp prior to the start of the season, we'll have to, take a look at where we are in terms of everyone coming back and who we have ready to go this year. But, obviously right now, the core of this team is really special, I think. And, we have that coming back. So always looking to pick up pieces that would be able to help us. But right now we're happy with the team that we have.
Breaking news here on This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Since our chat with the Patriots skipper, the team has announced they've signed not one but two new catchers for the 2023 season. A hearty Patriots welcome to Alan Combs. He comes most recently from DC Woods' now retired White Sox. And to Sam Chisholm. Full disclosure, we did not receive Sam's official headshot in time for production of the show, so we cannot confirm with 100% confidence that this is actually his photo. Nonetheless, we look forward to getting both Alan and Sam into camp and up to speed here before opening day. Now, back to the show. Keith, let's switch gears here a little bit. You up for some listener questions?
Let's do it.
All right, fantastic. This first one comes from Dave in Vienna, and he wants to know, after more than 20 years playing, managing with the Washington Patriots, what keeps you motivated year in and year out?
Well, obviously, the last couple of years, it's been nice to really put together some successful seasons. That certainly helps with the motivation. But more than anything, it's the camaraderie that we have, amongst the guys, and the enjoyment that I think we all get from being out there every summer, playing ball together. And after a number of us obviously haven't been on the team for some of us over a decade, in some cases over 2 decades. There really is a familiarity and a brotherhood that develops. So I think it's really easy to once the calendar ticks over after the new year, it's really easy to start looking forward to baseball season every year.
Well, as somebody that's been on the team for about half of that time, I concur with that sentiment very much, Keith. Well said. We've got time for one more. This one's from Brad in Ballston, switching it up a little bit. Brad wants to know, Keith, what's your favorite day in the gym? He must know you are a workout fiend.
Yeah. Okay. Good question. So, I do try to mix it up. I try to vary my exercise routine and mix in a lot of different things, from lifting weights to different cardio exercises. We have a Peloton here as well. But I would say that the basis for everything that I do is running. Actually, I like to run about 4 miles or so every other day, and that's really a time for me to clear my head and kind of think about what's on task for the day. And honestly, in season, I'll go out on my runs a lot of time and not have anything in my headphones, or just maybe have some music in the background. And then most of the time I'm thinking about the game plan for that day, or that week. So those 40 minutes or so that I'm out there running is actually a time for me to really gather thoughts and kind of think some things through. And it is actually in season. I do spend a lot of my time running, thinking about how to win Patriot baseball games.
I will say, don't underestimate a good episode of This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, as a workout companion. So just food for thought.
But no, I have definitely listened to the pod on my runs before that has happened.
Well, thank you. That's very kind of you to say. Well, Keith, as you know, throughout the show, we have had each of our guests come on and participate in the Hungry for More snack bracket. And I don't know if you've got any takes so far on some of the picks, some of the upsets, some of the smoke that's come your way, particularly around goldfish. So one wanted to give you the floor to maybe react there before we transition into some of your own picks.
Okay, well, I stand by my goldfish. Sometimes you have to just swim against the stream, as they say, Chad.
Well done. Well, that's a great segue because as we look at the final region, the Southwest region in our Hungry for More snack bracket over on the Patriots side of the bracket,
Okay.
looming large is a 3-6 matchup between
Wow, look at that.
Chipotle
Okay.
and Pretzel.
Okay, I do feel this might have been rigged a little bit against me to really test my devotion, or how much do I love these pretzel goldfish, because that is a formidable 3 seed in Chipotle.
That's a question to take up with the seating committee for this prestigious bracket. But
Okay.
Chipotle, the 3 seed, up against Pretzel Goldfish, the 6 seed. Of course, we've glossed right over a really big matchup on the top half of your bracket. The number 2 seed, Pumpkin Chocolate Chip Muffins, made their first appearance in the Patriots dugout this year to rave reviews. Hats off to Susie Blattner for that homemade delivery. Going up against always formidable Cheese.
That's a sleeper. Right there. That's your sleeper pick for this side of the bracket, in my opinion.
But I not to try to sway your picks here, I do need to say Cheese doesn't always hold up in those sweltering midsummer months. So in any case, these are your picks, Keith, not mine. So here in the Southwest region of the Patriots bracket, let's start first with that 2-7 matchup. Pumpkin Chocolate Chip Muffins versus Cheese. Who you got?
Okay. Well, look, those muffins that were in the dugout that day were absolutely delicious. You can't take anything away from those muffins, and I do appreciate, anybody who's going to deliver us muffins or any snacks to the dugout.
Homemade muffins.
Homemade muffins. They were absolutely delicious. That said, I'm going to go with an upset here. I'm going upset. I'm going to go with Cheese. I'm going to go real keto on this choice and go with Cheese.
Wow.
And
wow.
We're going to go protein over carbs in this case and move Cheese into that second round.
Man, I feel like there should have been some executive veto power written into the bylaws of the Hungry for More snack bracket. And I feel helpless here that pumpkin chocolate chip muffins are going to bow out at this stage to Cheese of all opponents. But what can I say? I think
I'm just going to keep my heel status when it comes to my opinion on various snacks. So we're going Cheese.
Well, you're 2 years in a row, and we're just getting started here. All right, Cheese moves on. That is our biggest upset so far in the Hungry for More snack bracket. Let's turn our attention down to 3-6 Chipotle Pretzel Goldfish. I mean, ridiculous that we even need to delineate between regular goldfish and pretzel goldfish, yet here we are. Keith, this matchup was tailor-made for you. Chipotle versus pretzel goldfish.
No, this one pains me because I do love the pretzel goldfish, but I think anybody who knows me at this point or has even seen me eating dinner in the dugout, sometimes in between innings, might be aware of my love of Chipotle. So yeah, the chicken bowl is moving on.
Oh, he's even specifying the type of Chipotle. Okay, I like that. All right, well, Keith, stay right here in the Southwest region because that's going to set up for a trip to the Final Four, an underdog matchup, Cheese against Chipotle.
Yeah, this one is a little bit easier for me, actually, because you could include cheese in your Chipotle.
Yep.
So really works to Cheese's disadvantage, in this matchup, that its opponent is it and then some, and actually it and a lot more. So this is an easy win for the number 3 seed Chipotle. The Cinderella run for Cheese comes to an end.
That's really such astute analysis, and something I think the selection committee also should have taken into consideration. I just don't think the selection committee saw Cheese getting out of the first round. So, wow, what a Final Four we have here. Italian Ice going up against Chipotle. We've got a main course against a dessert.
A delicious dessert is at that.
In the Patriots bracket, and over in the ballpark bracket, a very well-deserved number 1 seed, the hot dog. The only number 1 seed to advance to the Final Four. A main course going up against a snack, if you will, the traditional ballpark peanuts, advancing from the 6th seed out of the Southeast region. So we'll come back to crown a first ever champion in the Hungry for More snack bracket. But there's your Final Four: Italian Ice, Chipotle, hot dog, peanuts. Stay tuned. This is getting very interesting indeed. All right, Keith, let's turn our attention to the main event here. We've got 3 of the most prestigious TWiPBYs remaining.
All right, let's do it.
All right, Keith, well, you've seen a lot of Patriots debut through the years. What stands out most about the best Patriots rookies?
It's how they handle the moment, the pressure of the bright lights, and not just once, but their ability to perform every time they put on a Patriots uniform.
Yes, consistency is key. And this year's nominees for Newcomer of the Year demonstrated that ability time and again. Here are the nominees for Newcomer of the Year: Damon Cruz, Rob Gunther, Paul McClure, Duncan Zona. And the winner for the Newcomer of the Year, he joined the Patriots mid-season, but boy did he make a big impact down the stretch and into the playoffs. Of course, that's pitcher Paul McClure. Can't say enough about his contributions to the postseason run that we had.
Yeah, Paul was absolutely fantastic for us. Really was the missing piece that sort of solidified our pitching depth and our pitching rotation, and really made us pretty formidable down the stretch there. Obviously, he had some fantastic games, that are up there amongst the top pitching performances really in history. What he did last season will be mentioned, in the same sort of era of some of those other great pitching performances of Patriot past. So, we really rode him down the stretch, and but he had to have a year like that, honestly, to beat out some of these other candidates as well. Really, everyone in this crew contributed, in a big way to our season success. Damon and Rob and Duncan, ended up being key players for us, really the whole season. So this was a tough one, I'm sure. And Paul was very deserving, but we really had a great crop of Patriot rookies last year.
There's no shortage of memorable moments from another historic year of Patriots baseball.
Big hits, great pitching performances, incredible defense.
And even a few we're still not sure how to categorize.
This is true. But however you remember them, there's no denying this year's nominees for Play of the Year are truly unforgettable.
Jeff Pyatt's walk-off versus the Flying Squirrels. Thomas Aguia's walk-off versus the Trash Pandas. This has been a battle of heavyweights. Pandas lead it 3-2 here in the bottom of the 10th. Aguirre steps in with runners on first and second and nobody out. Here's the stretch. The first pitch to Aguirre. He lines it. It's over the second baseman's head, and it's down. And the tying run is in. And now the ball gets through the outfielders. It's all the way to the fence. Cruz being waved around third. Here's the relay. Not in time. The Patriots win, and they are mobbing Aguirre at third base. What a gutsy walk-off win for the Pats. Their 8th in a row. Back with final stats and a wrap right after this on 12:10 a.m. WPBR, the Washington Patriots Baseball Radio Network. Yours truly with a miraculous catch versus the DC Knights. Bottom 5, Pats lead 6-3, but the Knights are threatening with one down and the bases are loaded. The batter digs in. McClure kicks and delivers. Oh, and that ball's crushed. Deep center. Kerr's on a dead sprint back toward the wall. He reaches up, but he makes an incredible 8-bit catch. The runner's tied from second and third. One run is home, but that was destined for extra bases and real trouble off the bat. The Pats do indeed got a guy. More heroics from the Patriots center fielder helps keep it a 2-run lead. Now 2 down here in the bottom of the 5th. Austin Morgan's Fed Ball World Series double. This has been a quick-moving pitchers duel here in the Fed Ball World Series opener. We are knotted at 1 here in the bottom of the 6th. Jeff Pyatt's on with a single as the Patriots try to start a little 2-out rally. Austin Morgan settles into the batter's box. He's 1 for 2 on the night with a double. Swinging. Oh, he absolutely punishes the ball. It is very high. It is extremely deep. And Austin Morgan has literally ripped the soul right out of that baseball. W.T. Woodson cannot hold it. And the Pats have their first lead of the Fed Ball World Series. A 2-run tater. Pats lead it 3-1 here in the 6th. And the winner of the TWiPBY for the 2022 Play of the Year, it's Thomas Aguirre's walk-off double versus the Trash Pandas. A really tightly contested back-and-forth game. It went to extra innings the first week of August at Povich. Keith, what was your vantage point of Thomas's big hit there?
Such a huge moment. It was great to have for him to have his dad in the stands to witness that and to see his excitement, the rest of the guys feed off of that. It was one of those games, I think, that beating a team like the Pandas, I think, really solidified our confidence. In my mind, kind of just sent us off to the races there for the stretch run of the regular season, where we played really well.
Yeah, I think they threw at least 2 pitchers that just had absolute gas that night. And there was kind of a screwy play. I think it was the bottom of the 9th for us to tie the game. So there was sort of drama there in the bottom of the 9th. They went back ahead in the 10th, in their half of the 10th. And then, of course, that set the stage for Thomas's heroics. So certainly well-deserving Play of the Year. Kudos to Thomas Aguirre in a very crowded field of Plays of the Year. No shame in coming up second best to that moment.
No, absolutely. In fact, even just hearing the nominees brings back a lot of great memories, especially thinking about that Pyatt play. That was a big game and a big play for us right there. That really helped propel us to the strong finish.
Well, hey, let's not gas up Pyatt too much here. I mean, we don't even have video evidence that it really happened. And knowing that Pyatt has a hand in this, allegedly, there's always something a little untoward, perhaps, at play here. So
I'm sure in Pyatt's telling of the story in a few seasons, the ball will have hit off the wall and it'll be big fished.
We might even start to hear that version of the story coming up here in the 2023 season. So, all right, well, we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back to the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the 2nd annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. We're going to have the final four of the Hungry for More snack bracket and our game of the year. Don't go anywhere. I'm back with Patriots manager Keith Fisher right after this.
It's been 2 years now since the Patriots made the move to white pants, and it's a change that's been universally heralded. But if those crisp whites are starting to lose their luster and more resemble the Patriots' previous era grays, it may be time to experience the magic of OxyClean. OxyClean is a powerful stain remover scientifically formulated to take on your toughest mishaps, from grass or dirt to ketchup, mustard, and so much more. So if you're tired of those ugly stains ruining your favorite clothes or just want to keep your whites looking their best, pour a scoop of OxyClean into your next load of laundry. And did I mention it's gentle on your skin? That's right, no more harsh chemicals damaging your skin or leaving behind any unpleasant odors. Patriots players, wives, girlfriends, and fans all trust OxyClean, and so should you. Keep all your Patriots gear looking and smelling fresh as opening day with OxyClean. Available in powder, pre-wash spray, and now an on-the-go spot treatment stick so you'll never be caught in a messy situation again. OxyClean. Now that's fresh.
All right, and we are back on the second annual TWiPBY Awards and the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. Keith, that sure was fun reliving some of those moments from not only our newcomers, but of course the top plays of the 2022 season. There's just one more TWiPBY to hand out now. It's the game of the year. But first, we've got very important business to settle. It's the Hungry for More snack bracket final four. Over in the Patriots bracket, we've got the number 4 seed Italian Ice going up against the number 3 seed Chipotle. And over in the ballpark bracket, probably as expected, we've got the number 1 seeded Hot Dog facing off against the number 6 seeded Peanuts. Keith, the way this is going to work here in the final four, we're each going to have a vote, and if there's any disagreement, a tiebreaker will come from our This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast listeners. Use hashtag #HungryForMore to cast your votes right now. Keith, first matchup here, Italian Ice versus Chipotle.
Yeah, this is a true apples and oranges matchup here. It's very tough to compare these two things, both near and dear to my heart. Growing up, Italian Ice was the treat at the end of the night, especially when you got to the bottom of the Italian Ice.
Like the syrup and the sugar.
Yeah, amazing. It was delicious. So, that's the extra special part about the Italian Ice. Not only is like you crack into it and it's great. It's just you're enjoying it the whole time. But then you get to this other magical layer at the end. It's like saving the best for last, and it's like a snack that just keeps on getting better. Yeah. So I'm having trouble with this one. I think as a ballpark snack, I'm slightly leaning toward Italian Ice, which I know is probably very surprising to you.
Wow, Keith, your picks continue to confound.
I'm a wild card in this tournament. You didn't know.
I didn't know, but I'm glad that we saved you for last year, because these are the most important matchups of this entire exercise, and who better and when better to throw the whole thing into chaos.
Well, looking ahead, I think if Chipotle would have won, there might have been mutiny on the team. I feel like that is a very biased winner. So let's just get it out of the way right now and get a very formidable Italian Ice into the finals.
Well, I've rarely met a dessert that I did not like. And, I think actually Italian Ice started off in the Hungry for More snack bracket as water ice. Emphasis on the water and my Philadelphia roots. Jeff Gregorio came on the show.
Okay.
Quickly brought his Italian heritage to bear and said, "What is water ice? This is Italian ice, and it's been on a tear ever since."
That moment changed the whole bracket and the whole tournament for Italian ice. If it would have showed up in this matchup as water ice, I would have A, not known what that was, B, just thought that was just regular ice, and it would have been a no-brainer to go Chipotle there. So,
well, those are the twists and turns of a bracket like this. And again, just to officially go on record, Keith, I agree with your decision, controversial as it may be, and we actually don't need a tiebreaker in this instance. Italian ice is into the final. All right, let's jump over to the other side of the bracket. Hot dog versus peanuts.
Yeah, who do you got in this one, Chad?
Man, if this wasn't truly in a ballpark context, in a baseball context, peanuts might have a fighting chance. I'm not one that really likes to work for my food very often. Like once I'm ready to eat it, I'm ready to eat it. I don't want to first have to shell it, peel it, slice it, you name it. And peanuts, I know peeling it is part of the experience, but even just then eating a whole bag of peanuts, like that's a lot to get through. Hot dogs, I mean, they're a classic. They are number one seed for a reason. You can dress them up. I would say as I've gotten older and my palate has become more refined, I've come around to more of the exotic toppings for a hot dog. Not long ago, relish wasn't even on my radar. Love a good relish now. And even some places are sort of doing gourmet relishes. You got to sort of go to the upscale hot dog stand at the ballpark. But I just feel like there's a lot more versatility there with a hot dog. And even if you go just ketchup or mustard, still really tough to beat. Probably built more tension there than was necessary, but had to put forth the full case for hot dog advancing to the final here.
Okay, and it was a strong case. It is hard to argue against, the traditional favorite of a hot dog. Certainly was a big fan of hot dogs growing up as a kid, but I don't want to, overlook the peanut experience, if you will. There's very, fewer things that are watching a game, having a beer, and, working through some peanuts, throwing the shells on the ground. It's just sort of part of the ritual of watching the game, in my opinion, which, when you think about the hot dog, you have, you talk about the different condiments. I'm kind of just a ketchup-only guy, not into mustard, not into the relish or the sauerkraut, any of that stuff. So just ketchup for me, but then, sometimes you get whatever topping you're using, sometimes it's like dripping all over you. So you have that going against you. You have the hot dog burps that come with hot dogs. So I think I'm going to vote for peanut here, and we might have to go to the fan vote to decide this one.
I should have known. I mean, ever the contrarian, Keith. I mean, the hot dog burps. I mean, what about just relentless heartburn from, choking down a bag full of, chalky, dry peanuts?
Well, that's what you have the beer for. You kind of, just cool that down.
Yeah, but not if you've had too many beers that you've got the hot dog burps. You could get yourself in trouble there.
Yeah. No. Well, I mean, this is why we're going to have to go to the phones, as they say, to decide this one, because it's a tough battle.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, get your votes in. That's #HungryForMore to help us decide this pivotal matchup between hot dog and peanuts. A berth in the Hungry for More snack bracket final is at stake. All right, we're going to leave the poll up for another 5 seconds before we call it. Again, that's #HungryForMore.
I do see that the hashtag is trending worldwide at this point, so I expect to get a good volume of voters here very quickly.
All right, here we go. And 3, 2, 1. Okay, we are closing the polls. And let's take a look here quickly as we tabulate the results. All right, Patriots fans, your support again is unbelievable. As Keith mentioned, hashtag hungry for more trending worldwide. The votes have been tabulated. Hot dog is moving on.
Wow.
Keith, it was a valiant effort. You laid out a very articulate case for peanuts, but in the end, Patriots fans have spoken. Hot dog is moving on for, probably wouldn't have said this, a heavyweight matchup when this thing started, but as Italian Ice has gained momentum here, they're on quite a roll. So yeah, let's talk about this final. Italian Ice, Hot Dog. Keith, I'm going to give you the honors here. Who do you like?
This is a tough one. Well, obviously, I voted for Italian Ice, and I voted against Hot Dog. So I think by virtue of that, I have to go with Italian Ice in this case. I'm staying away from those hot dog burps.
I feel like I shot my shot for both of these in the semifinal round. I think I just need to go with my gut here. I'm going to go with Italian Ice.
Upset win. The rebrand of Italian Ice from water ice to Italian Ice made all the difference here. I think that's what history will show.
What a day for Italian Ice. This was a talking point in earlier round upsets. Hot Dog's not going anywhere. Hot Dog is one of the elite contenders, but they're just something. Italian Ice caught lightning in a bottle here and rode it all the way to the championship. It's not a sentimental choice. It's well deserved. Yeah, I'm pleased with where we've landed here. Italian Ice, your inaugural Hungry for More snack bracket champion. Keith, that was a lot of fun. Thanks to Billy and Jeff and Kevin for helping get us here. Keith, well done in your bracket, and also for the back and forth here in the Final Four. Again, Italian Ice, your Hungry for More snack bracket champion. All right, that leaves just one order of business here before we officially tie a bow on the 2022 Patriots season. And of course, I'm talking about the TWiPBY for Game of the Year.
I get goosebumps just thinking about it.
And who would have believed after a slow start to the season that we'd have so many great games vying for this top honor?
Well, Chad, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And a 10-game win streak filled with late-inning comebacks and extra-inning classics, plus our first World Series appearance, means no shortage of iconic games. Let's meet the nominees. July 17th versus the Squirrels. July 31st versus the Shockers. August 3rd versus the Trash Pandas. August 17th versus the DC Knights. September 17th versus the DC Knights.
And the winner of our final TWiPBY of the evening for Game of the Year. It was a classic. It required extra innings. It's the September 17th 5-2 win versus the DC Knights. Took 10 innings. It was in the second round of the Fed Ball playoffs. Keith, so much high drama, back and forth tension. What do you recall about that signature win of the Patriots 2022 season?
Just certainly one of the biggest wins in our franchise's history, in one of the biggest games in our franchise's history to that point. So many heroes coming out of that game. And, obviously the first one that comes to mind is Will, who just really battled on the mound late in that game. and won us that game. It's kind of another one of those wins that really brought the guys together, I think, and really made them believe that, we had a special group. So great win there. Great photographs coming out of that game as well. So a lot of great memories associated with that particular win. And then, again, obviously the following week there, we were able to beat the Knights again and to go to the World Series. So certainly that was a huge stepping stone for us and gave us the upper hand against the Knights on our side of the bracket. And that turned out to be huge for us. Again, a lot of nominees, a lot of very, worthy nominees. We've already talked about some of these games. That Shockers game where we were able to come back from a 9-run deficit, which I believe is the second year in a row we came back from 9 runs down in a game to win. So kind of just another one of those games that gives guys the feeling that, we're never out of it. And we have the expectation that we're going to win. So it was great to have that mojo working, the second half of last year. And, looking forward to getting it started up again in 2023.
Well, you mentioned it, the game of the year, well represented this evening. It produced our photo of the year. It produced our pitching performance of the year between Paul and Will. Certainly one of the most high wire games that I've been a part of in my Patriots career. And make or break really in that game. The winner of that game gets a full week off, reset their rotation for the third round game. The loser of that game has to play a midweek game and then come back and still win 2 more in a row the following weekend. And I think Patriots, we just had the mojo working at that point, and that game really had it all on display. Of course, the Patriots would go on to beat the Knights the following weekend en route to our first ever appearance in the Fed Ball World Series. What an amazing season it was, Keith, 2022.
It really was, Chad, but yet we're hungry for more.
Keith Fisher bringing it full circle, a true pro. That's how you end the 2022 Washington Patriots Yearbook, featuring the second annual TWiPBY Awards, presented by This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast. And so on that note, our thanks to the Patriots skipper, along with Billy Schultz, Jeff Gregorio, Fed Ball Commissioner Kevin McGinney, Pat's play-by-play man Chet Sturgler, and all of our Washington Patriots partners for an incredible show. And on behalf of the entire Patriots team and the men and women behind the scenes here at This Week in Patriots Baseball, a podcast, I'm your host, Chad Kurz. Until opening day 2023, don't forget to try your best. So long, everybody.